Bienvenidos and welcome a Cositas Mami Never Told Me, a podcast that dives deep into the Latin cultural norms that have long haunted the feminine genre. Montate and buckle up porque it's going to be a roller coaster ride. ¡Nos fuimos! Yo, why every time we record it, I got something in my mouth? The fuck?
Well, then, it says a lot about you. In your mouth. She's married, people. Don't get any ideas, but get some ideas. Not the straw. Not the straw. Not the empty straw.
I love a straw. I love a straw.
No.
People have gotten me like...
And then you go at the end, you go... By the way, this sound
That's horrible. That's for SMR.
Yes, exactly. These sound effects are brought to you as a courtesy. They're free.
What's up, y'all? This is like real life. So, Rocio just finished her workout, and so did I. And I called her while she was getting her acai bowl.
That I was hoping I could eat on this podcast, but that would be real SMR. What is that called?
SMR, I think.
With the sound stuff, when people are like addicted to the sounds. Yeah.
So I literally had to like meterme unas cuantas cucharadas de arroz con sopón.
Oh, I wish. Diana's going to be here in like 2 weeks, and I'm literally...
Oh, you already know. Whatever you want to eat. I got you.
Menus in my head of like, I want tostones.
I know the ceviche, right? Ceviche and tostones for sure.
For sure. So, what's going on? How was your week?
What day is it? Oh, today's Monday. It's President's Day. That's right. We got it off. The weekend was good. All-Star weekend happened and all that good stuff. But
did you see that kid in the dunk contest? White boys can't jump.
Actually, he made like $100,000, and usually, like, he would make $106,000. So he made $100,000 just on the dunk contest. So he almost made his salary, which was crazy. So hopefully,
wait, I thought that the new salary cap for the NBA was at least $450, even if you were a bencher. No.
Well, no, I saw like a meme, I think it was on Instagram, that had his earnings were $106,000, and then what he made on the dunk contest was $100,000. So now, hopefully they give him some playing time. Like the Duke, obviously, Doug, let him do something. Like
I know,
but I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind traveling for $106,000.
Right? How did he even get into the dunk contest if he doesn't get any playing time? Do you have to qualify for that?
No idea. I don't know. I used to follow it so much more when I was younger, but girl.
I know. I've been to like 100 All-Stars. And how
was your weekend and stuff? Because we got to talk about some stuff. But how was your weekend?
We got to talk about some stuff. What did I do this weekend? I didn't do anything, actually. It was, oh, God. Yes. I got a biopsy of my breast, which we'll talk about that more on the plastic surgery episode that we're going to record. But long story short, I was scheduled to have a breast reduction. And part of that breast reduction process is getting a mammogram, a sonogram, blah, 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 and a bunch of other things, the EKG, like chest x-rays, like una exageración, HIV test, like all these blood tests that even my physician was like, this is a little excessive. But he called the plastic surgeon and they were like, no, we need all this stuff. So the irony about this specific sonogram situation is my surgery was supposed to be a month ago. And Phil was in the hospital, ended up having to have emergency surgery, so I had to reschedule. But that being said, they were going to use the mammogram that I had a year ago for my breast reduction. Fast forward, I had to reschedule my surgery by a month. I had already had this sonogram schedule, which took me 5 months to schedule anyway. It was supposed to be a 6-month follow-up to my mammogram. So imagine a whole year. And then in the sonogram, I'm like over here getting dressed. I'm ready to go. And then they're like, oh, no, the doctor needs to talk to you. And I was like, literally, this is me on my phone. Like, for what? I'm confused. And we'll go into the bedside manner and all these things that I've learned in the process on the other episode. But I ended up they found a mass in my right breast. And basically he's like, we need to do a biopsy, which was like spiral out of control, not what I planned. Got the biopsy done, which was a whole nother thing. The original biopsy date was literally like for a month away. And then I call back and call back and call back. And I had to drive at 6 a.m. to Manhattan Beach for an hour and got the biopsy. And now we wait.
And how long is that?
That's what I did. I tried to relax this weekend, but when you have a toddler, there's no such thing. How long is what?
How long is the wait before you?
So that's a whole nother thing. So you over here as a woman, your mind is going nuts. You're already thinking you're about to die. You have a cancer. Thank God I'm a faithful human being and I try to be optimistic because the mind fuckery that this past few days has, the ebb and flows of it, 7 to 10 days. You got to wait. How is it 7 to 10 days when Elon Musk can take regular citizens into outer space? I'm so confused. So usually it's 5 days, but supposedly the labs are running behind. I called a few friends who have really deep contacts at UCLA, which is my hospital, hoping to get results earlier, which is sad that I even have to do something like that. But the beauty is my plastic surgeon said, you know, we're just going to pray it's benign. We're going to keep the surgery on schedule as planned because as you and I both know, God forbid, if it's not, it changes everything. So, which means I wouldn't be able to get you go from a breast reduction to, who knows, a mastectomy, whatever it is that you have to do. But we're being positive. And actually, that was my weekend, healing from this. So today was my first workout. And it's crazy because even though I don't feel anything like just sitting. When I was working out, I was like, oh, wait, modifications for sure. I definitely couldn't go hard. But that's all I did this weekend. And then I got the news.
Oh, no. Are we going to go? Oh,
we're going to go there.
I'm so disappointed. Go ahead, girl.
We're going to go there.
Go ahead.
That Bad Bunny. We need to be.
We got to have like a moment of silence.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pessimistic moms.
Pessimistic moms. Pessimistic moms. But you know what? Some of the stuff that we'll talk about, it could bleed into pessimistic anybody. So
exactly.
If you're dealing with a pessimistic mom, which is what we're going to talk about, because we've had conversations about both our moms being pessimistic. And of course, it's probably something that they grew up with. They probably grew up with parents that were perfect or perfectionists, right? So they needed to make sure that they were reaching that bar, right? So then they're going to do that to us. You know, so
I guess you can paint it that way.
brushstrokes.
Yes, you can.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily paint it that way, but I mean,
well, that's one of the way. That's one of the behaviors, I should say, that makes someone pessimistic is a person that's trying to be perfect all the time. So yeah, go ahead. You start it off. You set it off.
So basically, we felt the need to have this conversation. And like Diana said, it's not, and as he continues to just walk in the background, no respect for me. Anyway, we decided to tackle this topic because it's across the board. It's funny. Whenever I have conversations with my, I'd say friends, but mostly Latinas, but my friends, and they talk about their mom. Like I have girlfriends who aren't even talking to their moms, which is like unheard of in the Latino community.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you don't do that. Like the first thing a therapist says is like, when you have toxicity in your life, you need to remove yourself from the toxicity. And the biggest thing is like, how do you remove yourself? And the toxicity could potentially be your mom or your dad or your parent. Which is the number one thing we do not do. But as you mentioned, it's not only pessimistic moms, but I do feel, and again, this is a generalization from my personal experience, and Diana will talk more about hers, that as Latinos, we have a tendency to lean towards the negative side of things. You know what I mean? So it's crazy how at the same time we're so faithful, so Christian, so Catholic, so whatever we are. But like if you get a news about a biopsy, for instance, I told my mom, and the first thing is like, oh my God, which by the way, I had to mentally prepare myself to tell her, because it's like, what I don't need added is the negativity and the worry and like the shit that I already know could be a possibility with this. What I need is, well, we're going to pray about it. We're going to be positive. There's so many other things it can be. But those are things that for me, generationally, I'm learning so that I can do that with my daughter. But I also have made peace with that. I'm never going to get that from my mom until I'm like halfway through the conversation and I'm like, Mommy, I know all these things could happen, but I need good stuff being said, important to me. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. 5 minutes into the conversation, back to the negative. It's like, and it's funny because I remember my grandmother and my grandfather, and I would never describe them as joyous people or like people who are like positive or like cheery or the most optimistic. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with the struggle or like not coming from much or not having much. But I definitely think it's a cultural thing that this generation, and then of course our kids' generation and their generation, will fight through and try to change, because it's like this dark cloud. It's like the energy is always, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop in every conversation, and that's no way to live.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you that don't know what pessimism is, I like to look up words because sometimes people don't know what the hell. You're like, oh my God,
see Diana
Mom?
on
What
the podcast, and when she's like this, it's because she and Google are besties. Hanti. She's like, we don't know what it means. I'm
if you don't know what it means, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to also let you know that pessimistic is an adjective, just in case you wanted to know. But it is tending to see the worst aspect of things or thinking that the worst will happen. So Rocio touched on that. How her mom was talking about
PS,
how
I didn't even know the proper definition, but damn, spot on
point. Punto y claro. Yeah. So that's what pessimism or a pessimistic person. They're always tending to see like, oh my God, something's gonna happen. Oh, and that ties into like anxiety as well. If you think about it, because a lot of the things that I wrote down, that can be what's the word? Can be, traits of a person who's a pessimistic are hand in hand. A lot of them are hand in hand with anxiety. So, you know what I'm saying? A person that's always looking, oh my God, they're warriors. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes sometimes they're trying to worry because you're their child or whatever. But I'm 48 years old.
Yes.
I know a little something.
Speak
something.
it.
I know a little something. Let me, if I bust my ass, let me bust my ass and I'll get back up. Like, but it's just like, sometimes, ooh, even if you're like hosting an event or anything, like just to have that chitter chatter in the background, pero tú hiciste esto, and you're looking on the stove, you're like, everything's done. Like, I don't understand where all these questions are coming from. And that's just a minimal example, right? Because when you have kids, when you're getting married, whatever the case may be, even things that people don't know shit about. You know what I'm saying? So there's always people trying to give you advice about stuff they've never done in their life. Why are you giving me advice? You've never done it. And then this has happened with me and just in family. People that never bought a house, people that never bought a car, they're giving me examples about, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Because, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. How the fuck do you know? But want to give me doom and gloom, right? The person that's always walking around giving doom and gloom. Girl, I can't.
But it's always interesting to me because, and again, generalization, kind of, sort of, maybe not. I feel like my white counterparts don't necessarily have those experiences. I guess culturally it could be like, you're Italian, you're whatever. Hold on one second, because I'm confused on what's happening right here. This is what I'm saying. the disrespect, the pessimism. Sometimes pessimism is triggered. You know what I mean? Which can be justified. Like, if I'm recording a podcast and you know I'm recording, and then you find your way into the
sé que estás haciendo.
And then right now, as you're walking out the door, that's going to make noise anyway. Then you have to bring in the box that you kick into the doorway. You can't even lift the box. You got to kick it in. So, pessimism, for example, can be a trait that is triggered, So it's consciously, we never left. We never left. But this is real life. We are on the spot. And that's a great example of like, I think the biggest issue that I've had with my mom, it's not only my mom, by the way, it's like my cousins, my aunts, they're like the biggest worry wards, even some who are like so spiritual and so like, committed to the Lord, which is to me, in a sense, it goes complete opposite of what the Bible says. For instance, like the first thing is like you shouldn't even worry for a second. Like an ounce of worry will bring you no more life. And pessimism and, like you said, anxiety and worry are so interconnected that it's like you're doing nothing. It's like I posted something with the biopsy, right? And I was on my way to get the biopsy, and I was like, I do a lot of intentional work on being more optimistic, more positive, having an attitude of gratitude, because being raised in a home where you're always kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, it's like exhausting. You're constantly on edge. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to be like that anymore. I obviously know the outcome of this biopsy could be something that's not good and can change the whole trajectory of my life. We already know that. We've established that. But we don't gain anything. The result, the outcome, the response, the answer to this test, in my case, is not going to change because I like harbored and dwelled and got depressed about it. So why not be positive about it? Stay busy, not really think about it. Like, think of life as we're going to continue into this breast reduction and blah, blah, blah. The irony is, as I said, when I told my mom about the biopsy, it was like, oh my God. Immediately she starts crying. And I'm like, God, I get it. But is that your dog?
That's my stomach. And my microphone is right by my stomach, so sorry, y'all. And we got to keep that in. This is real life. I guess I didn't shove enough soup and rice in my fucking mouth. My stomach is pessimistic that I'm going to be feeding it anytime soon. I was hoping it didn't pick up, but then I forgot the mic was out there.
Yeah, I said, is that Zola? But thank God I'm not a pessimist, and I'm not like, oh my God, Diana, that's gonna come out in the podcast. That's awful. No,
I don't give a fuck.
This
Cut it out, leave
it in.
Cut it out, leave it in. I don't give a fuck.
Cut it out, leave it in. What is your? Would you call your mom pessimistic?
My mom had a lot of pessimistic moments, but she was really good about.
That's very politically correct.
No, she had a lot, but she also had a lot of optimistic moments, right? Because she was a single mom for a very long time, so she almost had to like be good guy, bad guy, Mm-hmm. So my dad is very optimistic, and I was daddy's little girl. So when they got divorced, let me
ask you, that's interesting too, because do you think that Latino men are as pessimistic as Latino women? Mm-hmm.
No, because they're raised as kings in the home. They don't got nothing to worry about. The motherfuckers got everything handed to them. Mm-hmm. Well, most that I know. I'm not gonna say all. You know what I'm saying? Don't come for us. But what I'm saying is that if I was raised as a freaking princesa my whole damn life, I would probably be a lot more optimistic, right? But since I did have those pessimistic moments, that has made me more optimistic. Like I try to.
But that's intentional work for you. That's
absolutely.
Like conscious work.
Absolutely. Let's do the opposite of what, you know, because there were moments is like, you know, I'm having a thought about doing some grandiose situation or an idea. And it's like, that could never happen for you. Why are you thinking that big? You're only a person from Hartford, Connecticut. You know, how dare you dream? Just get yourself a job and a husband and you'll be fine. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
So there were those times, but then there was also some optimism, like, and not on that instance, but just on other, like, oh, you're playing basketball? That's awesome. Maybe you'll continue to play basketball in college. You know, so she had her moments. There was more pessimism.
Yeah.
But I think that her being around other single moms, because she did, you know, have a lot of friends that were single moms, different races. And there were situations where there were people around and they would probably talk to her. So I think that she learned from other people, because she did have a huge friend group that were like different types of people. So I think maybe she bounced some stuff off of them. Maybe I should ask her that to see, like, because I know her mom was super pessimistic. Super. Like, to the 12th power. Like, she didn't want my mother to marry my father. Like, she went to my mom's wedding in a nightgown.
¿En a bata?
And slippers.
No.
Like, she has pictures. My mom has pictures of her mom in a bata and slippers.
So she said, yo voy.
Pero no voy.
No esperes que yo me viste para este velorio. Whoa.
Yeah. And I think the same could be said about my mom. Because my father's mom said the only good thing that came out of my mom and dad's relationship was me. She said that to my mom. I remember that. And when I told my mom, she was like, how do you remember that? You were like 4. And I was like, I remember that.
Wow.
At her house. Yeah. Like, we're sitting there and she tells that to my mother. Like, and for my mother not to flip the fuck out.
Well, I mean, that's another thing. You can't flip the fuck out because that's not allowed. Like, are you insane? Like expressing how you feel to your parents or even as a grown woman, an adult. Like, obviously it's changed. I know for me personally, my mom has called me malcriada several times, probably twice a week. But I just feel like I'm 42. I'm married. I have a child now. Like at some point, yes, we should be respectful, but of each other. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, you respect your parents. Yes, but it's respectful both ways. But you brought something that made me think of the fact that, like, how do you expect to be optimistic if you were raised in a space that was so like hammer, not necessarily, I guess it would be pessimistic. Like my grandfather, my grandmother, my mom was cooking when she was 6 years old, like taking care of her sibling, like 6 years old, cooking, 6 and 7, taking care of her siblings. She never got that support or like, you can do this, you can do that. Like he didn't even let her
at 12,
go to
girl.
her
That was
prom.
me at 12.
You know,
that was me at 12.
But it wasn't because my grandmother couldn't do it. My grandmother was there. It was just because my mom was the one who had to like bear the brunt of everything. So I just had like a epiphany moment as we're having this conversation. It's like, real talk, she did and continues to do the best she can. But it's like, where are you supposed to gain this like confidence in yourself or optimism or not feel like you can't do anything when you're not getting it at home? You know, and then obviously generationally, culturally, she was in Puerto Rico. I was raised here. You get a whole different sense of life. You surround yourself with different people. The culture here is completely different. And then I do think it's 2023 and the Latino movement has made so many strides that it's like we're trying to consciously break these generational chains of simple things like pessimism and not believing in ourselves. To me, you know what's crazy? I've always found it ironic that the program is called Dreamers. You know, like the program that allows immigrants to be here, and it's called Dreamers when stereotypically and in my experience, we're really taught not to dream.
Right.
Like we're really taught to like do whatever you got to do, which is basically work, so that you can have a decent life. You know what I mean? And it was like some white person named this program Dreamers. I think it's a very beautiful name. I think that it's in its representation stands for so much. But even these dreamers, while they're in this program, are fucking hustling and have to overachieve and have to be these standout individuals. And even in that space, still to this day, they don't even know if they're going to get caught, if they can stay here, if they can be, you know, a lot of them don't even want to publicly be dreamers part of this program because it's a fear of like, no matter how good I do, no matter how many generational chains I break, I could still get kicked the F out of this country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and as I said, as I've spoken to a lot of my girlfriends, they're like, the immediate response is like, yeah, my mom would be like, even for a new job or a new something, the first thing to come is never, wow, that's amazing. It's like, ¿y cuánto te van a pagar? ¿Y dónde es eso? Yeah, it's like, how much they going to pay you? And you got to, and now with COVID, it's like, oh, you got to go into the office. Are you going to be able to do that? And what about the baby? And what about this? And you're going to take the train and who's going to watch her? It's like, bruh, can I get to like the final interview where I'm negotiating my salary before you've already talked me off the ledge to be like, well, maybe I shouldn't take this opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and that pessimism, if you don't do that conscious intentional work to be like, nah, like that's not gonna be me, like this will not be my life, like blah 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 blah. What happens as we get older? I'm 42 and you're a little older than me. Fucking life is already hard. You barely have time to do what you have to do. And it's so much easier to be pessimistic when what's being thrown at you is like, oh, here we go. Just gotta keep working, gotta keep hustling, put my head down and grind. It's like, where are you supposed to gain? Where do you go, or what motivates you, or what is it what is your source to not be pessimistic and to not pass that down to your kids?
My source would be the first thing is just to think positive, right? Just having positivity in the room, in the space, in your mind, because I am anxiety in the freaking DNA, bro.
Telling you.
In my family, and then if you say go talk to a therapist or go get medication, girl, you said therapist medication, pero ¿qué me va a decir a mí? ¿Pero qué?
Que ni me conoce.
Right. When, growing up, we would be chasing down the police because we wanted to make sure there was none of my cousins getting arrested or nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of shit is crazy.
But see, upbringing, that's why I'm curious, because what is it that you feel shifted in you or made you consciously, because it's intentional work on your end too? Because if that's what you grew up seeing, how do you have the expectation to not continue to have that mindset in your adulthood? It's work. It takes intentional work to believe that there is more, or to believe that you can do more, to believe that you're not going to be one of your cousins. You know what I mean?
Right. So I think that one of the things I want to say that just playing sports had a big impact on the way that, just having teamwork and being positive about, that goal of getting the ball in the hoop, or that goal of making sure that we get the ball over the net, when we're playing baseball, or that goal of making the run come in when you're playing softball. So that teamwork effort and having people, apoyándote and just being supportive, like, you can do this, you can do this. Those type of moments felt great. You know what I'm saying? So, and even at home, even though there was some pessimism, like I said, when my mom, she was single and she had 2 jobs. So I needed to be the person. That's why when you said that your mom was cooking at 6, I needed to cook out of necessity. So I was 12 years old, coming home, making sure my brother and sister got there, because, they were younger than me. Right. And I was cooking at 12 years old, and then calling my mom to make sure that we could go out on the porch to play. And then our next door neighbor could watch us, because we could never go downstairs when my mom wasn't home. Right. So we would be on the porch, whatever, doing playing catch. And the porch was probably 10 by 10. You know what I'm saying? You can't really play hide and seek in the house because, hey, God forbid, you can't really play in the house. But I think that's when it happened. Like when I started playing, team sports, or when I was part of a dance group where everybody had to like be together and be a team to try to like get to whatever goal it was, So just having that, and that's what it kind of triggered. Like, okay, if this feels good, let me start thinking about positive. Just having coaches being like, be positive. You could do it. You could do it. You can make it. Whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's what it kind of triggered and trickled into my life.
Those other sources.
Yeah.
That's so that's what. Never even thought of that.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's what did it for me. And for my kids, from little, I've always said, we have so many examples outside of our four walls of people that have fucked up. Right. So let's try to pour into each other, like whatever it is that you need and whatever it is that you want to do. Like, let's support each other. Like even me, sometimes I need a hug. Sometimes I need, some positive reinforcements from my kids. So, and to this day, like I'll cook whatever. My kids are like, thanks, Mom. This is awesome. And one time I asked them, I said, how come you guys always say, I asked one of my sons, how come you guys always say thank you? And one of my sons said, well, I have friends that don't get meals at home. They get either frozen food or takeout. So when I tell them that my mom cooks, they're like, wow, I don't get meals at home. So I want to thank you because you do this for us. So
that's so nice. That's amazing.
With everything.
Because you create that environment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whether at the beginning it starts like from little, like Sophie says, Sophie still thanks me for her food. She thanks me for if she gets a new dress. Mommy, thank you so much. I love that you got me this, blah, blah, blah. But that came from me intentionally being like, we say thank you. We say no, please. We say no, thank you. And that my sister did teach me that when she was raising JoJo, she never wanted her to say no, 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 no. So it was always very much like we say no, thank you, no, please, no, thank you.
Yep.
And it's like for us, it's like even my mom be like, quien habla así, quien dice eso. But I saw it with my niece.
Yeah, it works.
And it's like it's like it doesn't matter. It's not, oh my God, you're so bougie, you're so white, you're so whatever. No, it works. Now my daughter's gonna be 4, and she says, "No, thank you. No, thank you. Please, no, thank you. Yes, please." It's the polite thing to do. It's the right thing to do. But if it was to go off of like the optimistic mindset, like all these things lead to being more of a positive thinker, having that positive reinforcement. And something that we're not necessarily taught to do is express those kind of feelings, even if it's a feeling that's so natural, like thank you for cooking dinner. Or because a lot of times, and I still see it, my mom serves my dad, he never says thank you. She still cooks even when she don't want to cook, even if she's like so annoyed with him. She serves his plate. She sometimes puts it down in front of him. He never says thank you. And it may or may not bother her, but it bothers me. When I'm there, I'm like, hello, tú no vas a dar gracias. Like, nobody owes you nothing. But culturally, if I look back and think, like when my aunts serve their husbands and blah, 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 you're at a sweet 16 or whatever, you don't really hear, especially when the man is being served, it's never like a sense of appreciation. So years and years and years and years and years of that, you start to be like, well, I guess you just be like numb to it. You're like, nah. When it's not, it's something that's being pessimistic. That breeds a pessimistic mindset, because you know what happens? Even though you're like, that trickles down into how you raise your kids, how you talk to other people, how you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Because in your, even if, right, you subscribe, because I remember you mentioned about your husband's aunt who doesn't drive and who was like, no, I'm not going to drive. I'm not going to get a license. Like, even if, right, from a public perspective, she's totally convinced, she's totally okay with it. She's like, this isn't what I want to do. I strongly want to believe, maybe not her, maybe not all, but privately, there's this curiosity of what would it be like to drive?
And I wanted to take her out.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to be that push, ese empujón, tú sabes, para que se meta detrás de behind the wheel, and for her to want to do it and to see that she could control the car. You know what I'm saying? But for him to take that away, I was like,
but my mindset is like, how many years of, and who knows the private conversations.
And what else?
Like, las mujeres no guían. Tú eres muy bruta para guiar. Mira qué brutas son las mujeres. So it's like, all this is embedded in you. How could you even dare try to be optimistic? How could you even dare dream?
Want more?
How could you even dare? Like, where does it come from? If you're constantly, and again, it's not necessarily being in an abusive relationship. It's not saying that you're being abused, but it's like, it's a sense of belittlement when someone doesn't say thank you. And it's something that you're continuously do that. Then it starts to become something that's like, it's like
expected,
not appreciated. Exactly. But taken for granted. So that's a foundation for like a super pessimistic mindset. That, of course, because we're humans, that's then how you go into everything else in life. There could be an opportunity that opens up for you and you don't even explore it because you're like, they'll never hire me, or I'd never be able to do that, no matter who's encouraging you. So I feel like, I know from my mom, she's done a great job on her own and has so many accomplishments, but that pessimism, man, that shit is
heavy, huh?
Chip away at, man. And it's like, and she catches herself. She'll tell you she catches herself when all I gotta say is, Ma, I know, Rocio, I'm sorry. I'm gonna do better. 5 minutes later, Ma, I'm gonna do better. It's like, you know,
it's
or like
hard when somebody is set in their ways, girl.
Dude,
it is hard. It is hard. And if you're wondering what a pessimistic person, like, some examples of that would be, like the definition says, like, always thinking the worst, impatient,
Bloop.
Just impatient,
Bloop.
just impatient,
so
afraid of change.
I want you to repeat these because we're about to check the boxes. Because right now, as you're listening to the podcast, you're like, I'm not pessimistic. I'm not pessimistic. Not me. I go to church. I believe in the Lord. I have faith. I'm always, okay, let's go. Boxes.
Always thinks of the worst.
Bang.
Afraid of change.
Bang.
Impatient.
Bang.
A warrior. Like overbearing.
Overbearing. Bang.
Fears the unknown.
Bang, bang.
Perfectionist. Like, everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be, because if not, God forbid.
Bang, bang.
Bang.
Bang, bang.
Those are just some
but
behaviors.
As you're reading them, I'm like, yo, my nigga, I check a lot of those boxes back in the day.
But you see how some of those behaviors can tie in with anxiety?
Bruh. And you see how some of those behaviors that lead to anxiety lead to diarrhea, to immediate stomach issues, that was me. What is it? 6 years ago? As you know, my last, but that's a great example, right? It's also like why optimism and like both ways take a lot of intentional work, because being pessimistic is a lot of fucking work, bro.
Oh my gosh.
All the shit that can happen as a result of something is not only a lot of work, but then it's a lot of like post trauma. So for instance, you go and get a diagnosis, whatever. It's not saying anything yet, but now I'm about to die. I'm about to have to go through this. But then as you're thinking of all this shit, then you have to deal with the day-to-day of the anxiety and what that causes to your mind and your body. Diarrhea, stress, nerves. So it is being pessimistic is exhausting physically, mentally, and emotionally, as well as a lot of fucking work. And it's like, if you if you intentionally redirect your energy to just, as I said earlier, the result usually is not going to change. Not in every circumstance. Obviously, it depends on the situation. But the result of whatever you're worrying about or anxious about or being pessimistic about can actually be shifted into another. I shouldn't say that. I do subscribe to the school that I do think that if you start to think pessimistically, it could result in something that is horrible. But have you ever tried to shift your mindset and put a positive spin on things and see? I know for me, my experience is like, even sometimes things that you see as detrimental, once you start spinning how you think about it, you start to see opportunities for other things that you may not have ever seen or imagined just because you shifted your mindset.
Right.
You know, but even that is something that I feel like is generational, it's cultural. I was talking to my girlfriend who's Italian, and I always feel like Italians, Greeks, Caribbean people, we have a lot of similarities. We have big families, we talk loud, we eat a lot of food. I mean, obviously, you know, they benefit from the white representation and the European mindset, whatever. But culturally, specifically, I'm speaking about my girlfriend who's Italian. She was talking to me about her parents. Her dad is dealing with some health issues or whatever. And she's like, bro, it's killing me because I want more for them than they want for themselves. And her parents are genuinely like, you're tripping. Like, this is not how we do things. And this is how it's gonna be. You know, and it's she's like, the negativity, the pessimism. This was just this week that she texted me, and I was like, damn, the irony is that we're about to film a podcast about this. And she's like, all I want is more and better for them, and it's no getting through. And I told her, I said, you know what, you have to surrender to it, make peace with it, and all you have to do is commit to showing up as the best person you can for them, but more importantly for you and your two boys and your husband and your family, and break those generational chains and show them, you know, because it really comes down to, usually you want more for the other person than they want for themselves. And then what happens is you get frustrated because they don't see it. When all you can do is control how you envision things and how you show up.
And usually those people, and not to say that all pessimistic people are on edge, but usually they are. You know how's that meter, right? There's always a meter. There's a meter for everything. There's a meter in your gas tank, empty, full, right? So pessimistic person is usually beef. They stay right there. They ready. 0 to 100 on anything. They ready to chop your damn head off. And it's like, damn, can I just tell you
but let me
positive
ask you,
spin on this?
What your thought is? Do you think that's because they have to be on the they find themselves to be on the defense?
Defense,
I
think so.
If I'm optimistic, it makes me feel like I'm not prepared when the other shoe drops.
Yeah, I think so. And
because of whatever trauma I've been through, and because of my experiences.
Now that you say trauma, some of the things that I found about how to deal with people, I'm going to use this. I'm going to try to use these. How many? 7 things.
Share it.
Understanding the pessimism. Where is it coming from? Was it a trauma? Was it an emotional instability? Could it be in women a hormonal situation? You know, trying to make sure that.
And I don't want any man listening to this podcast to interpret that as when we got our periods. Okay.
No, it's not that. Right. Thank you for clarifying. Staying neutral. Tempting to argue, don't. If you're tempted to argue, don't. I know it's hard, especially with mom. I know it's hard. But guess what? The argument is not going to change it, because
at all.
She ain't going to change. You ain't going to change her mindset.
At all. That's what it is for me, which I'm working, intentional work and learning, because this podcast is about transparency. It's intentional work because it's difficult. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's difficult because you do want to be like, you're bugging. I don't want to talk to you.
But instead of arguing, try to calm her down. Mm-hmm. Try to calm her or whomever.
You're very good at that. You are very good at that. You're very good at that.
At calming the mind, like say something like, I'm sorry I made you feel like that.
But what if I'm not sorry? What if I don't feel like I did anything?
Oh, I'm sorry you feel this way. Mm-hmm. Something like that. So like that, you're pouring into them and they could calm the fuck down. You know, it's intentional work here too. This is hard. This is hard because I was a black sheep. Don't take comments personally. That's hard.
Well, you know, that's hard. First of all, self-reflection discovery moment right now. The only person I allow to even have windows of pessimism in my life are my mother. Because as an adult woman now at 42, if you're pessimistic, I wouldn't even have my space.
Same.
Okay, so even though it seems like it's pessimistic moms, yes, it's pessimistic people, but it's simply because as adults, we have control over who we allow into our space. You know what I mean? Which I just realized it's a bing. That's why it seems like it's just her. It's not. It's because I can't remove her from my space at times where I wanted to, because you can just easily remove or surround yourself with people who are pessimistic when you're on an optimistic journey. You know what I mean? So when you just said don't take it personal, it's hard because I don't take shit personal from anybody else. But when it's the person who brought you into this world, how do you not?
Right. Girl.
You know?
The next thing would be like listening to complaints, but really listening to her complaints.
Bitch, now you're bugging. Like, who gave you these 7 shits?
You have I honestly
because I did a conversation with them one-on-one. Listen to the complaints. Do you know that would require every conversation for me to listen? And then you just said, really truthfully listen? You're out of control. Now you're out of control. You're doing too much.
Okay. Give her the optimism or something to be optimistic about.
What if I don't know?
Praise her.
What?
I've done this. That works. That works. There's only one more.
Basically,
there's only one more.
The 7 steps are lose yourself. Be dead to yourself.
In that moment.
And worship the wrong.
Talk through her concerns at the time. Whatever her concerns are at the time. And the last one, this is very important. I've had to do this. I've done it before I looked for this. Deal with the problem, not the person. I've entangled those before. Rosie was like, fuck that.
As I've said, I am a work in progress. Okay?
No.
I'm still working on myself.
Listen,
to be my best
I continue to be a work in progress too. I continue to be a work in progress,
so
but I know.
Are you telling me you have put these in practice with your mom?
I've used a couple of these without even knowing when I was searching for these, like just letting her share her complaints about like work, just listening to her share her complaints, and then I would offer some optimistic feedback. Okay, so hold on. Some things to say to curb
for those
pessimism.
Of you who are only listening, I'm in a meditative mindset right now. I am digging deep. I am a work in progress. Let's repeat that. I am digging deep. I am a work in progress.
Listen, I've said things to my mom like, "Ma, remember when you used to tell us, este no es el fucking city center, pagan las luces."
No, we got, aquí no hay boda. Aquí no hay boda. Todas estas luces prendidas. I'm like, you turned them on.
So for those of you you're not around here, Civic Center is like a Coliseum. It's like a Madison Square Garden. It's like a TD, it's like a big an arena. So my mom would come in and this is not the Civic Center. Turn these fucking lights off. And we used to be like, we didn't touch the lights or the heater.
Mm-hmm. Oh, never
the
heat. By the way, you still in my mom's house. How dare you? How dare you touch the heater?
Listen, but then she'll come to my house, right? And we got blankets. When you come to my house, we have blankets all over the sofas. We have blankets in the thing. So if you call, motherfucker, grab a blanket. So she's like, ay, pero aquí siempre hace un frío.
It's always cold. That is always cold.
I'm like, Ma, you used to complain about your heating bill being out of control, right? Because like I said in the past, it's like a safari up at my mother's house. Like you could put zebras in that motherfucker, elephants, tigers, lions. Motherfuckers, it's that hot. It's that hot. But she would complain about the heating bill being, I mean, turn that shit down. We thirsty.
No, my mom was aquí no hay boda, which in Spanish is like we're not at a wedding, which I guess it's like weddings are well lit. I don't know where the saying comes from, but till this motherfucking day, you cannot touch the lights and you cannot touch the heat.
But this is the thing. I've been to your mom's house where we get there at the same time and all her lights be on.
Oh. And the streets be open.
Who's turning on the lights?
The street can see what's happening inside the house. With the lights on, the TV blasting on 45.
Not 45.
Oh, I'm adding. You cannot touch lights, heat, or the volume on the TV or the channel. Mind you, I've been married to my husband going on 20 years, right? He does not speak Spanish. Okay?
No subtitles, nothing.
How when he get there, you can't change it from Univision? I'm confused. Now we just rude and crazy. That's a sidebar. Shit. That's a sidebar. But yes, bitch.
The same goes like when we go to Family Day on Wednesdays. For the first hour that we're there, we're watching either.
I love that. If I ever move to Connecticut again, I would love to be included in Family Day.
Absolutely. Every Wednesday, 100%. Girl, you got it. Wednesday. So we have the first hour. So this is crazy, right? The first hour is usually 5, but I usually get there like 3:30, 4 o'clock. But 5 o'clock is the hour where everybody's usually there. So from 5 to 6, we usually watch the 18 and then Knight Rider, right?
Oh my God, old school.
But they're in Spanish. So the words don't match up.
How? Where is that available?
On Univision.
No way!
So, yeah. So we're sitting there like, so my mother and her boyfriend are like enjoying the show and we're over here like, okay. And then from 6 to 7, we watch 2 episodes of what? Family Feud.
In Spanish?
Steve Harvey. No, in English.
Oh, because you can't translate.
My mother always says, ponme el negrito ahí in Family Feud.
Forgive us. That's not a racist comment.
People love.
Please.
Oh, yeah.
In culture, we say that, and it's a term of endearment. Please, let's not cancel culture us. This is a podcast.
Oh, yeah. When we say negrito, that means like sweetheart, like baby.
Yes, exactly.
Negrito. So that's what it means. Yeah.
From Afro-Latina.
Right. So when my mother nicknamed my brother Negro, which means black.
It's crazy.
but that means like sweetheart.
Right.
So when we used to grow up, they used to be like, Negro, what does that mean? We used to be like black. They'd be like, why they call you black?
Right. By the way, he's brown. As he brown.
He brown.
He's our negrito.
Exactly. But he's a negrito. So my mother loves Steve Harvey. Oh my God.
Who doesn't?
Oh my God. He got that demographic on lock. Okay. Ever since he messed up that Miss America shit, he been out of control. He been everywhere. My mother be like, ponme negrito ahí, ponme negrito. I'm like, okay, mama, I'm gonna come on.
I mean, but you know what? Not to sidebar, Family Feud and Steve Harvey is definitely one of those shows that it's like, it's fun to watch as a family. You laugh, it's always a good
he's
time.
So funny. There's always an opportunity for him to put in his comedian stuff.
Ratchet as shit.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. Even though he has a bad reputation, but I love it. I love the show. And
that's a sidebar. That's a sidebar.
Yeah, and we have like our own Family Feud. Everybody's shouting, and we're always changing who would go to Family Feud together.
Right? Nah, because you right. I ain't bringing you because you're awful. We would lose. With
My mother, yo no voy, pero voy. Yo no voy pa. She's not gonna play on the panel, but she's gonna be in the audience.
Right.
She's gonna have a sign. She said she's gonna have a sign. One.
They don't miss a thing. They don't miss a thing, honey. What does it say? No se pierde ni un balde de cucaracha. No. My mom's thing is like
that's a behavior too, though, Ro.
Yo, we got to talk about
it. That's a behavior because they feel like they need to be a part of everything, even if it's not freaking. They need to be a part of it.
And by the way, everything at the same time.
At the same damn time, bruh.
Yo,
you can't be a part of anything.
You can't. But P.S. I got that from my mom too, because the bitch be having crazy FOMO. Because I like Diana's all the way on the East Coast, right? And sometimes, like in the summer, she goes to the park and they have like this little softball league, and she'll call me, and I hear like the music in the background, and I got purias, and I'll be like, FOMO. I want to be there, but if I lived there, I probably would never go.
You would go. I would make you come. Especially the good games.
Anyway.
I forgot what I was going to tell you. It was good, too. What? Oh, I remember. So, anytime we have anything over here, like, it could be...
At your house.
At my house. It could be game night. It could be Christmas Eve. Whatever the hell it is. My mother will put the damn TV on the Spanish channel. And I'm like...
First of all, the Spanish channel is one thing. So you didn't see my mom when I was there editing with you. My mom came to Diana's house, comfy, sat legs up, blanket, fell asleep, and changed the channel. Sweetie. Okay, the record, if you don't know a Latina mom, one beautiful thing is you show up at the house, you will always eat. There will always be food, even if they didn't plan on you to come, number one. And number two, when they show up at your house, let it be known it is now her house, okay? And if you're not cooking, she's not afraid to get in your kitchen. She's not afraid to get in your kitchen.
Actually changed. She told me how to make the chicken. She told me to change it up because she didn't like the way I was going to make it. Remember?
When you made the sliders, she said, no. I was like,
oh my God. Well, I got to do that for your moms.
I mean, we've only known each other for over 30 years.
I mean,
that story.
She would cuss me out if I did it. Then I'd be like, this is my own kitchen.
Well, and then that's the shit. El respeto. I can't say nothing. Can't say nothing.
I would not dare.
Nothing. So as we close this, though, I wanna highlight the 7 things. Can you repeat the 7 things? And then
the 7 things. Okay. Always thinks of the worst.
Okay, so these are definitions or characteristics, examples of a pessimistic person. So let's take a minute to honestly self-reflect. And let's walk through these.
Always thinks the worst.
Always thinks the worst.
Afraid of change. Impatient. Worried about the future, like a warrior.
And by the way, worried about the future means worried about the minute from now. That's not necessarily 5 years. That's
second.
Worried about when I walk to my car from my door.
Fears the unknown. Perfectionist behavior. And you know what? Growing up with a pessimistic mom will be giving you all this stuff. So it was really 6. I had 7 on how to deal with it, but it's really 6. Come on, babies.
How to deal with it.
Bless you. Salud.
I think that's our first sneeze on the podcast. How do we deal with it?
We went over it. Understand? That's when you was like, I ain't doing none of that shit.
I know. So now you need to tell us how to deal with it as a recap.
Okay. Understanding the pessimism. Where did it come from? Was it trauma, childhood behaviors, or events? Or
so one thing I'll say is great. Granted, get it, noted. But like, it's so conflicting because the number one thing too is like you cannot let your upbringing or your traumas dictate the rest of your life. Like at some point you cannot use it as an excuse and a crutch to not better yourself. So continue.
All right. Staying neutral, even though you're tempted to argue.
Oh God.
Right. You won't. You will not.
I needed Diana to.
You will not change your. You will not change your mind.
I'm having a personal. I'm really feeling fucking attacked. And
you will not change your mind.
I'm having a very personal reaction. Like I feel like I'm gonna start itching. But continue.
I'm gonna tell you though, it was my mother had used "Tu eres bien malcriada" on me.
Yo, it's like twice a week.
I want to say I was in my 20s, and after I told her what I told her, she never used it again.
Which was?
Tu me criaste.
Tu me criaste. I've used that on my mom. Me. The thing is, my mom is like, my mom is like laser beam. She's like, xa, xa, xa. Yo te crié, xa, pong, back at you. Didn't work.
No, I told her, and she was like, "Oh, you're right." Number 3, don't take her comments personally. That's the hard one. I know, girl. I can see it in your face. Then I said, let her share complaints, and you was like, what?
But that's the thing, right? Okay, so as I've said, I'm a work in progress, but I'm taking notes. You know what I'm saying? But the entire conversation, every single one will be that.
If you started off by saying,
so therapist Diana, how do I protect my
I'm not a therapist.
How do I protect my peace in the process of giving her what she needs so that we're literally just having exchange?
Well,
because at this point, it's not healthy exchange.
You sort of kind of have to mirror your mom's behavior, right? There's been times when I'm sharing my complaints with my mom, and I've said this before in another podcast. Were you listening, Mom?
No, they're never listening.
Cut me off, no. Right? So even if you have to be making a grocery list in your head or things that whatever you have to do, just let them get that off their chest. I think that if you, like I've gone to my mom and
we have to create an authentic space.
Right. A safe space. Like, how was your day today? And then she'll come with a Walmart story. You know what I'm saying?
Babe, but my mom is retired.
Oh.
Anyway, continue. What are the other things? Because
clearly, optimism.
I feel attacked.
Oh.
I feel seen.
No, don't feel attacked.
I feel seen as I feel attacked, as I feel like fuck.
Don't feel attacked, please.
You got a lot of work to do, bitch. Let's continue.
Don't feel attacked. Give her optimism or something to be optimistic about.
Okay.
Talk through her concerns at the time. Like if at the time she's having a meltdown for whatever it is, talk through them with her, and then deal with the problem and not the person is the last one. I really like that one because I think if I would have placed that in situations in the past, sometimes she would be going off about something and I thought she was directing it toward me when she was just having a moment about whatever happened to her. Since the tone was coming my way, I was like, what's your problem? So that it became an argument.
Now we're beefing. Right
now we're beefing instead of me saying, oh my gosh, what happened? Can I help you with whatever,
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
That was it. That was the start.
Well, here's the lesson in pessimistic.
Hopefully. And we're not therapists. These are just things that I grabbed from the internet.
We're not therapists, but for a dollar or two, we will tell you about yourself. And if you getting catfished.
Not $1 or $2.
If you getting catfish, if he lying, if he ain't telling you the truth, if he being a loser, if he not, and if the pessimism, see people open doors at Diana's house too. I'm saying this is real life.
Opening doors and everything right here while I'm recording.
No respect. His girl's
dog, you gotta go pee. No, dog.
We will probably not cut that out because I don't have an editor. But more importantly, we want to hear your stories. We want to hear your pessimism stories. And how did you guys, or are you still navigating those pessimism waters? And if you are, tell us about it. And if you're not, how did you get out of there? Did you use any of these 7 things that are
Not the pessimism waters.
call therapist Diana suggested? Yes, bitch.
No, stop calling me that.
She's the guru of simmering down situations, but that's because y'all see her now. Because Diana over there on the other side, y'all don't even know. Okay?
Yo, age has simmered me down.
We're gonna let her rock with the peace and love. We're gonna let her rock. We're gonna let her rock.
Oh shit!
And because Diana from Harper High.
Oh Lord, no, Diana was nice and calm.
Bullshit.
I thought I was anyway.
Bullshit. Bitch, you forgot I know you off camera. Anyway, thank you for listening to Cositas Mommy Never Told You. Mommy with an I, Cositas, little things Mommy never told us.
I hope you guys learned something. I hope you could take away something and try to just be patient, I guess, with the impatient. The girls, if y'all ain't watching this on YouTube, I don't know. You don't, and you'll get to see Rocio's husband walking behind her.
Disrespect, the disregard, the gall, the audacity, the gumption.
The audacity.
But the craziest part is, we'll end on this. I told him I was recording. I literally set it up so that he don't need to be seen, heard.
He wanted to be seen, girl. The first cameo.
Sir.
Déjalo.
Sir. We love y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Peace and love.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Gracias for listening to Cositas Mommy Never Told Me. We hope you loved this episode. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and share Cositas Mommy Never Told Me on all your social channels. Todas las redes sociales. And don't forget, if you want in on the real tea and see all of our reactions to the craziness, watch this episode on YouTube. ¡Qué bochinche!